All right, let's talk about Matplotlib. We're going to pull back the curtain on one of Python's most popular and sometimes most confusing tools. We're moving beyond just making plots to really understanding the powerful architecture that makes it all tick. This is how you go from just scripting to being an architect. So let's dive in. You've seen this plot 1,000 times, right? We've all been there. You pop open a notebook, import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, you run plt.plot, and bam, you get a nice, simple line chart. It's kind of like the hello world of data viz. It's fast, it's easy, and you know what? It gets the job done for a quick look at your data. But here's the thing, and this is the question that really separates the beginners from the pros. When you ran that one simple command, what did you actually build? Because it's not just a picture. You actually created this whole structured, layered collection of objects. And understanding that structure, that is the key to unlocking everything Matplotlib can do. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to look beyond that basic plot and dissect its anatomy. Then we'll get into the two different ways you can code this stuff up. After that, we'll uncover the hidden rendering engine, the source of so many headaches, trust me. And finally, we'll tie it all together to help you make that leap from scripter to developer. Okay, first up, the anatomy of a plot. Here's the big secret. Every single plot you make, it's really just a nested structure of objects. The best way to think about it? It's like a set of those Russian nesting dolls. Once you know what each doll is and how it fits inside the others, you can control literally everything. And the perfect way to get this is what's called the artist's analogy. Seriously, just think of it like you're a painter. You're not just writing code, you're creating a piece of art. And what does every piece of art need? Well, it needs a canvas, it needs a framed picture on that canvas, and of course, it needs the paint. So everything starts with the figure. That's your canvas. It's the whole window, the entire blank page. It's the top-level box that holds everything else. It's not where your data goes, but it's the space where all the magic is going to happen. Now, inside that big canvas, you've got one or more axes. And the axes, that's the actual plotting area. Think of it as the framed picture you're putting on the canvas. This is where your data actually lives. So when you make subplots, what are you really doing? You're just putting multiple axes objects inside that single figure canvas. And what goes onto that framed picture? The paint, right? In Matplotlib, these are called artists. And listen, this is so important. Literally everything you see on the plot is an artist. That line you plotted, it's an artist. The title, an artist. The little tick labels, artists. Heck, even the figure and the axes themselves are, deep down, just really complex artists. It's artists all the way down. Okay, let's pause and talk about the single most confusing, most frustrating bit of naming in this whole library. I guarantee this has tripped you up before. Axes versus axis. Axes, with an ES at the end, is the entire plotting area. It's the box, the framed picture. Axis, with an I, is just one of the number lines, like the x-axis or the y-axis. It's the thing that handles the ticks and the numbers. So remember, axis is the box, axis is the line. You want to set a title? You tell the axes. You want to change the tick marks? You tell the axis. All right, so now we know what all the pieces are called. Figure, axes, artists. Got it. But how do we actually talk to them in our code? Well, that brings us to the next layer of Matplotlib's design, the fact that there are two totally different ways to write your code. So Matplotlib basically gives you two different ways to work. On one side, you've got the Pyplot way. This is state-based, and it's what most of us learn first. You just say plt.title, and Matplotlib kind of guesses which plot you're talking about. It works for quick, simple stuff. But then on the other side, you have the object-oriented way. This is where you explicitly grab onto an axes object, we usually call it ax, and you tell it directly what to do, ax.setTitle. There's no guessing, you're in complete control. So why bother with the OO way? Why go pro? Well, there are some huge advantages. First, scope safety. This means no more accidentally changing the wrong plot when you have a bunch of them. Second, your code becomes modular. You can literally pass an AX object into a function, making your plotting code so much more reusable. It also scales way better. Trying to manage a figure with, say, 6 subplots becomes logical instead of a total nightmare. And finally, your code is just clearer. It's explicit, readable, and a heck of a lot easier to debug. Okay, so we've covered the objects and the two ways to code. But there's one more layer we have to peel back. It's kind of hidden deep down, and it's the source of one of the most common and infuriating problems you'll face when you try to take your beautiful notebook code and run it somewhere else, like on a server. You know the feeling, right? Your script works perfectly on your laptop, A nice little window pops up with your plot. It's great. Then you try to run that exact same script on a server, maybe in the cloud or in a Docker container, and bam, it crashes. You get some weird error about a display. What is going on? Well, it's not a bug in your logic. It's a misunderstanding of Matplotlib's hidden rendering engine. The secret to fixing this is understanding something called Matplotlib backends. So what's a backend? It's basically the engine that takes all those artist objects we talked about, the lines, the text, all of it, and actually draws them. It's the thing that translates your Python commands into an actual image, whether that's a window on your screen or a PNG file. And really, there are two main flavors of these backends. First, you have interactive backends. Think of these as the ones for your laptop. Their job is to pop open a window you can zoom and pan around in. And to do that, well, they need a screen. Then you have hardcopy backends. These are for servers. Their only job is to draw the plot directly to a file, like a PNG or a PDF. They never, ever try to open a window. And that's why your script crashes on the server. It's trying to use an interactive, I need a screen backend in a place that doesn't have one. So how do you fix it? It's a simple three-step dance, but the order is absolutely critical. You have to do it in this exact order. First, you import Matplotlib, just the base library. Second, before you import Pyplot, you have to tell Matplotlib which backend to use. You'd say matplotlib.useag, for example. And then third, you can finally import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Doing it this way forces it to use the file-based engine before it gets any other ideas. And just like that, your server crashes are gone. Okay, let's put all these pieces together. We've peeled back the onion, right? We've looked at the anatomy, the different coding interfaces, and that hidden rendering engine. Getting your head around these three things, that's really what takes you from just scripting to being a true Matplotlib developer. So what are the three keys to really mastering this? First, you gotta understand the anatomy. Stop seeing just a plot and start seeing the figure, the axes, and all the artists inside. Second, use the object-oriented interface. Just make fig.ax equals plt.subplots the way you start every single time. It'll save you so much trouble. And third, control the backend. Be deliberate and choose the right rendering engine for your environment, especially when your code leaves your notebook. And look, don't just take it from me. The official documentation, pretty much every experienced developer, they'll all tell you the same thing. The object-oriented interface is, and I quote, strictly preferred because it avoids ambiguity. Your code does exactly what you tell it to on the exact object you want. No more guessing, no more weird bugs because Matplotlib was trying to be helpful. So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time you type plt.plot, what are you really doing? Are you just running a command and hoping for the best? Or are you consciously creating a canvas of artists? Thinking like that, that's the shift. That's how you go from being a scripter to being an architect. Thanks for joining me on this one.